on if you've got a dog, because a deadly disease has made its way to the UK and is putting dogs at risk here. Canine babesiosis is carried by ticks and has already affected dogs in Essex, so it's not that far away. It's come over from the continent, and there are a number of strains of the disease. Scientists from the University of Bristol are now undertaking a huge study of ticks, collecting them to study what diseases are carried and where in the country certain diseases seem to crop up. Well, we can talk to Holly Wilson. Her pet dog Olive was infected by a tick in France and contacted this canine babesiosis, and she's with me here at BBC Radio Suffolk now. Holly, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us on the programme today. When did you first realise that something was wrong with Olive?
We actually went to France for 4 weeks, and it wasn't really until we were travelling home that we noticed that she was ill. We did notice a tick on her during the 3rd week, which we removed, and really didn't think anything of it. And then on the way home, she obviously became very poorly.
It's quite often the case that dogs, cats will pick up ticks, and so we do need to keep a regular eye out. So you'd spotted it, you thought you'd done the right thing. What happened next?
She had been treated, but obviously this tick managed to bite her, and it only takes one tick with the disease. She became really lethargic. Her gums were white, so she was really anemic. She wouldn't eat or drink. So en route back in France, we were sort of phoning the vets in the UK. And my French wasn't quite so good to speak to French vets, really. So the vets in the UK actually, it took 2 or 3 vets to work out exactly what the problem was, because we don't see it over here. This was 4 years ago. But luckily, one of our local vets is Polish, and as soon as she examined Olive, knew exactly what the problem was. So by catching it so quickly, we were very lucky, and lucky she's still here.
So this is something which now has cropped up in the UK. I understand there have been some dogs affected in Essex. Did she go on to make a full recovery? Was everything okay?
Yeah, she's a very lucky dog. She's full of life and causing chaos at home. So she's lucky she got the antibiotics as quickly as we managed to do it. So
what would your message?
Dogs really aren't so lucky.
Yeah, what would your message be to dog owners? Because we love getting them out there in the countryside. They love being out there as well, don't they? And running free. Would it be to regularly check and groom them and make sure they've not got ticks on them?
Definitely. So you must treat them for ticks, which I'm sure most people do anyway. Check for ticks. If you do actually find one that's engorged on the dog, remove it properly. And normally I wouldn't have thought anything of it, but now if you see a tick on your dog, you must go and get it checked at the vet, because they can carry Lyme's disease and babesiosis. So you need to get them checked. Even though if you think your dog's well, it's worth a check.
Right. So any time there's a tick on there, you would say go to the vet and get them to check it out.
Definitely. Yeah. Because it might be too late otherwise.
Holly, thank you very much for joining us on the programme today. That's Holly Wilson. Her pet dog Olive was infected by this tick in France, but there have been some of these ticks now reported in this country, and some dogs have been affected in Essex. So if you take your dog out for a walk, do check it for ticks regularly. And Holly's suggesting you take it along to the vet just to be on the safe side. Of course, it's not just dogs, animals that are subject to problems with ticks. Denise is on the line to us, and she suffers from Lyme's disease. Denise, good morning.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, thanks for joining us on the show. Take me back. Was it a tick for you?
Oh yes, it was. Well, it was actually about 6 on each leg, and I was in Scotland, and it was so long ago. It was over 30 years ago, and I didn't even know what a tick was, and I didn't pull them out. I just scratched at them, and I felt a bit peculiar the next day, but the illness didn't actually begin until nearly a month later.
My goodness me. So what do they look like then? What should we look out for? Are they fairly obvious if we get one on us?
Well, not always, you see. Mine were quite small. They were sort of like one stage of the development, but the tiny baby ones are so small you can hardly see them. They're like the size of a full stop, which is tiny.
Yeah.
You kind of need to be aware that you could get them on you without seeing them. So if you're going to do outdoor activities, you'd probably be better covering up, even though it's a warm day, or using tick repellents. And just being aware of them. But I suppose the babies come out from the eggs, and what the mother tick is quite big. She lays up to 3,000 eggs, and they kind of hatch out and become tiny, full stop sized, poppy seed sized things, and then they grow through, get bigger and bigger as they grow. But I've just been listening to. Yeah, the ticks carry Lyme disease and they carry babesia. And I went on my Lyme disease for this morning, just for an hour. And in that time, 5 Lyme disease patients have come back to me and said that they've got babesia from tick bites, not just the Lyme disease. And one of those people lives in mid-Suffolk, and I know her. She's a lovely lady. There's one in Bristol, one in Cheshire, one in North East Scotland, and somebody didn't say where they were, but they've never been abroad.
So you think it's far more widespread then than perhaps we think it is?
Well, yes, but, I'm really fed up because all of these people had to actually get their blood tested abroad in America. And it is difficult to test for babesia. It's very like malaria, And when I first asked about it 12 years ago at the Tropical Diseases Hospital, the malaria expert there said, humans don't really get babesia, or they fight it off very easily. And that's true. In a lot of cases, humans can carry it, and they're asymptomatic. But in America, it's become such a big problem there that last year, the Federal Drug Association said they're now going to check their blood supply for babesia, for blood donors.
Blimey.
Yeah, I know. Well, the guy in London at the Tropical Diseases Hospital said to me, people fight it off, unless you've lost your spleen or you've got AIDS, it won't affect you. But then all these people I know, 5 of them just this morning, all positive, they've actually not got AIDS, they've not lost their spleens, And the thing is, at least 3 of them have said to me, no, 4 of them, they're having to pay for their own medication, and it's
So your advice for people going out into the countryside with or without their dogs would be to examine yourself very thoroughly and the dog when you get back home, and also perhaps cover up a bit more and think about, maybe a tick repellent.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. There are some kind of natural oil-based tick repellents, and then there's the more powerful ones. If you look at the mosquito sprays you can get now, they've started putting a higher level of DEET in them, and they actually will repel ticks.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like DEET, though, do they, for all sorts of reasons?
Insecticides, and it's, chemical, but if you look on the internet, there are a mixture of oils. I think in India they use a lot of these essential oils to repel insects and ticks and things, so fingers crossed that they work, but the best idea is inspection of when your dog comes in, or even your cat, or even your pet hedgehog.
Yeah, and yourself also as well, because it's quite easy to overlook them if you're not too careful. I mean, this has had a huge impact on you, hasn't it, over the years?
Oh yes, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that it took me 20 years to find out, and of course I had this diagnosis of ME and chronic fatigue syndrome, and then as the pains got worse, fibromyalgia, and then I tested negative for Lyme disease in the 80s, and I thought the test would be better. So I got retested in 1999 and 2004. It was negative again. But then I had a special fluorescence antibody test done in America, and I had a very high count of the bacteria in my blood. And they hide within your blood cells. And the babesia, as well as the Lyme disease, they seem to be what we call intracellular infections. And definitely the Lyme disease stops your immune system working properly, which might be why some of these people are ill with babesia that normally wouldn't be so ill.
We need to take those little pests much more seriously, I think, after hearing this today, both for ourselves and for our pets as well.
I would call on the government, to think about global warming and vector-borne diseases, and think to myself, we need some kind of national sort of program to sort of warn people about this, and also to set up better testing. And we're actually going to have a protest in May in London again, outside Parliament, I hope, and say, do something, please, And we've got, a billionaire. He's actually, I thought I was going to say millionaire, but he's a billionaire in Stoke-on-Trent called John Cordwell, and he recently found out that his son, who'd been diagnosed with ME for 10 years, had actually got Lyme disease. And he's really angry, and he's going to set up a charity called the John Cordwell Lyme Charity, and hopefully lobby the government to do something about it, because he then found out that he was infected himself, but not as ill as his son, So there is a movement in Britain to sort of say something to the government and say, get something done. We want to know how many people are carrying these tick-borne and insect-borne diseases, because it's only going to get worse, as the weather and things. They used to die in the winter, but they survive now, these ticks.
Denise, we must leave it there for now, but thank you very much. It's been enlightening today, and I appreciate you coming on this morning and talking to us about it. Thanks very much.
Mark, yeah.
And keep in touch. Let us know how everything goes.
Bye then. Bye.
Bless you. Denise.